Right now, thousands of Australian pensioners are opening their myGov account and discovering their fortnightly payment has dropped, sometimes by more than $100, and they have no idea why. Concerned, their savings haven't changed. They haven't won the lottery, but their pension has been cut anyway. The truth is, in most of these cases, it isn't Centrelink being unfair. It's a simple, avoidable mistake, one that thousands of pensioners are quietly making right now, often without even realizing it. Welcome back to Centrelink Pension Bulletin. Today, we're going through 5 of the most common mistakes that are reducing age pension payments in 2026, and more importantly, exactly how you can avoid them. Informative. Some of these mistakes are small paperwork slip-ups. Others are misunderstandings about how the rules actually work, but every single one of them can cost you real money, sometimes without any warning at all. Let's start with the first mistake, and it's one of the most common of all: reporting the wrong income figure. If you're one of the many pensioners who still works a few hours a week, whether that's a couple of shifts at the local hardware store, some casual consulting, or seasonal work, you're required to report your income to Centrelink. But here's where people slip up. Many pensioners report the amount that actually lands in their bank account. That's the net figure after tax has already been taken out. Centrelink doesn't want that number. They want your gross income, the amount you earned before any tax or deductions. This might sound like a small technicality, but it genuinely isn't. Reporting net income when Centrelink expects gross income throws off the entire calculation, and it can either shortchange your payment or worse, cause an overpayment that turns into a debt notice months or even years later. So here's a simple habit worth building. Before you report your income each fortnight, have your payslip open in front of you. Look for the line that says gross earnings, not the final deposit amount. It takes an extra 30 seconds, and it can save you a great deal of stress down the track. Now, let's move to the second mistake, and this one has become especially important this year: not updating Centrelink when your investments grow in value. Many retirees hold shares, index funds, term deposits, or managed investments, and a common assumption is that as long as you don't sell anything, there's nothing to report. That assumption can be costly. Centrelink assesses your financial assets using something called deeming, which estimates the income those assets are producing, regardless of what they're actually earning you. Earlier this year, in March, deeming rates increased for the first time in 6 years after being frozen since 2020. That single change alone has quietly reduced payments for a large number of pensioners with meaningful savings or investments. Here's the part that catches people out. If the value of your portfolio has grown and you haven't updated Centrelink, your file may still be showing outdated figures. When Centrelink eventually cross-checks your details against tax office records or bank data, and they do this regularly, any gap between what you reported and what you actually hold can trigger a reassessment. That reassessment can go backwards, not just forwards, and that's when unexpected debt notices start appearing in letterboxes. The safer approach is to review your asset values every few months, especially after March and September each year, when rates and thresholds are updated. A quick call to Centrelink or an update through your myGov account can keep everything accurate and keep your payments predictable. Now, for the third mistake, and this one tends to come from a place of genuine generosity, which is what makes it so easy to fall into: gifting away too much money at once. Many retirees like to help their children or grandchildren financially, whether that's contributing toward a house deposit, paying for a wedding, or simply lending a hand during a difficult time. It's a kind and completely understandable instinct, but Centrelink has strict rules around gifting, and going over the limit can directly reduce your pension. Under current rules, you can gift up to $10,000 in a single financial year without it affecting your assessment. There's also a 5-year limit of $30,000 combined. If you gift more than these amounts, Centrelink doesn't simply ignore the excess. They continue to count that money as if you still owned it for a full 5 years from the date you gave it away. Picture this example. Let's say a retired couple gives their daughter $50,000 to help with a house deposit. That's a generous, loving gesture. But under the gifting rules, $20,000 of that amount, the portion above the $30,000 5-year limit, will still be counted as part of their assessable assets for 5 years. That can quietly push them over an assets test threshold and reduce their pension even though the money is long gone. The lesson here isn't to stop being generous, it's to plan generosity carefully, ideally spread across financial years. And if a larger gift is being considered, it's well worth having a conversation with a financial advisor or Centrelink's financial information service first. Let's move on to the fourth mistake, and this one surprises a lot of people who love to travel: not telling Centrelink about extended time overseas. Many pensioners look forward to spending time overseas, whether visiting family, taking an extended holiday, or in some cases spending part of the year in a different country entirely. This is completely allowed. The age pension is portable, meaning you can still receive it while traveling. But there's a catch that often gets missed. If you're overseas for more than 6 weeks, certain supplements attached to your pension, including the pension supplement, can reduce to a lower rate. And if you don't notify Centrelink about your travel dates in advance, this can create confusion, delays, or even incorrect payments that need to be corrected later. There's also a longer-term consideration. If you're planning to live overseas for an extended period, beyond simply traveling, your payment can be affected differently depending on how long you've lived in Australia and your residency history. This is a detailed area, and it genuinely pays to check your specific circumstances with Centrelink before you book that extended trip, rather than after you've already left. The simple habit here is straightforward. Whenever you're planning time overseas, especially anything longer than 6 weeks, let Centrelink know your travel dates ahead of time. It takes a few minutes and it avoids a great deal of confusion later. Now, the fifth mistake, and this one might be the most overlooked of them all: assuming superannuation doesn't count once you've retired. For many years, superannuation held in the accumulation phase, meaning it hasn't yet been converted into an income stream, was treated differently under the pension rules, but once you reach age pension age, that distinction disappears. Your superannuation, whether it's sitting in accumulation phase or already being drawn down as a pension, is fully counted under both the assets test and the income test. This trips up a surprising number of new retirees. Someone might think that super account is separate, it's my nest egg, surely Centrelink doesn't look at that. But once you've reached pension age, Centrelink absolutely does look at it, and it's treated as a financial asset, just like your bank accounts or your share portfolio, and assessed under deeming rules in exactly the same way. There is one nuance worth knowing. If you have a younger partner who hasn't yet reached age pension age, their superannuation in accumulation phase may not be counted, at least until they reach pension age themselves. This is a genuinely useful detail for couples with an age gap, and it's worth discussing with a financial advisor if it applies to your situation. So let's bring these 5 mistakes together, because on their own they might feel like small details, but combined they represent the majority of unexpected pension reductions we see reported by retirees across the country this year. Reporting net income instead of gross income, not updating Centrelink promptly when your investments grow in value, gifting more than the allowed limits without a plan, forgetting to notify Centrelink about extended overseas travel, and assuming your superannuation is somehow invisible to Centrelink once you've retired. Every single one of these is avoidable. None of them require complicated financial planning or expensive advice to fix. They simply require awareness, a little bit of organization, and the habit of keeping Centrelink updated as your circumstances change, rather than waiting for them to catch a discrepancy first.
If there's one broader lesson in all of this, it's that the set and forget approach to your pension simply doesn't work as well as it used to. With data matching between Centrelink, the tax office, banks, and financial institutions becoming more thorough every year, small inconsistencies that might once have gone unnoticed are now far more likely to be picked up. The best protection isn't hiding anything, because there's nothing to hide. It's simply staying accurate and staying current. If you take just one thing away from this video, let it be this. Set a reminder, perhaps once every 3 months, to log into your myGov account and review what Centrelink has on file for you. Check your reported income, your asset values, and any recent life changes. It's a small habit that can prevent a great deal of stress, and it can protect the payment you've worked your whole life to be entitled to. If this video helped you spot something you hadn't considered before, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more retirees find this channel and get the clear, honest guidance they deserve. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Centrelink Pension Bulletin, because we bring you these updates as they happen, explained simply without confusing jargon. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments below. Has one of these 5 mistakes ever affected your payment or caught you by surprise? Sharing your experience might just help another viewer avoid the very same thing. In our next video, we're going to take a closer look at the work bonus and how working retirees can earn extra income without it eating into their pension, including some recent changes that make this more generous than many people realise. I hope you'll join me for that one. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourselves out there.